I felt all of that through the performances, and I felt the claustrophobia of the way it was lit in the cave, so it just felt special to me.
Yes, I had the same experience. I really did. It was tough for me to choose. However, I'm going to go with the season 1, episode 1, The Path of Fear, the Grievous fight scene. Woo! I mean, to hear Matt Wood reprise this role, I can't get enough of it. He is so talented, and the way they captured, again, sort of the claustrophobic, toxic, fiery, hellish version of reality that they were in on this planet, I felt it in my bones and in my lungs. And, you know, as far as this moment for Morgan, what she decides in this moment, I think is really impactful and, you know, guides the course of the rest of her life. And of course, we see her later with Thrawn. And but this battle scene for me was absolutely gorgeous and breathtaking. It took my breath away at every turn. You know, with that boom, boom, with the sign, boom, boom, boom. You know, woo! It was truly, once again, an amazing, amazing moment. So, all right, so you have a couple honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Okay, what would those be?
Of course, Hera. So my honorable mention has to be the B-Wing episode.
Yeah.
I felt that your emotion of your passion for flying totally came through, and I also know that you have a backstory about that as well on a personal level. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, yes, my dad was in the Air Force, and he was he's retired from his job, but he worked at NBC as a news reporter for many years. And yes, John Marshall, he was incredibly, he looked like Ron Burgundy, if that makes any sense. And every time people would call that, it's like, is Vanessa Marshall there? Like, everything was reporting live. I love my dad. So I dared him to get his pilot's license with an open cockpit biplane. Now, I'm pretty sure if I made this offer to you, you'd be like, I'm good, that's okay. No, my dad, full-blown Snoopy with the goggles, and you know, he cut the engine, and all I could hear was, you know, the whistle of the wind and the wires, and I'm like, I think my dad just died. And the next thing I know, boom, boom, we're going down and doing hammerheads. And so flight is something that means a great deal to me. And when I got to fly the B-Wing as a Star Wars fan, also an epic moment, but I dedicated this scene where she explains what flight means to her to my father. So it was not only a really special moment for me with my family, but also my chosen family. So thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And I'm not quite sure if everybody knows, but when we do our voice record sessions, we're still very much in storyboard previs phase, and our cast of actors have not watched anything. So for them to execute the performance just based off what's on the script is pretty incredible, because then we utilize that as video reference that we then send to our animators overseas to try to capture that moment, both, you know, visually and through the audio. But then the actors don't get to see the work until we're in full color, and sometimes not even until we air. So again, it just goes with how talented our actors are, that they're able to emote those feelings that are on the page and bring it to life. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And I do think that Lucasfilm and Disney had such vision, and strangely, all the cast members, at least in Star Wars Rebels, we all mirrored. I'm a space mom all day. I mean, I have snacks in my bag. If anyone's low blood sugar, I got you. Just come see me after. I 100%, like, I am ready for any crisis. Like, I'm such a mom. I've never birthed anything but good ideas. So it's just, I just love my Star Wars family. But I do think that you all managed to collect a very special group of souls that in turn brought all of that love and reverence for the IP to our extended Star Wars family, and we are united forever as a result of that. So I am deeply, deeply grateful.
Woo!
Another honorable mention is when you played young Hera in The Bad Batch and you met Omega for the first time. And you were excited to see where Omega lived in the ship because one of your lines, I believe, was, "You get to live in a spaceship or starship." That it was a dream, and that just ties back to when you're older, the viewing episode. So I like how things tie back together all the time, and I think that's the OCD in me, that I like to make sure that everything connects appropriately. But I just love your performance as young Hera. You captured it so well.
Oh, thank you. We had a lot of fun dialing up the Ryloth accent, dialing down her courage. We weren't sure if she should always have been, this unapologetic, nurturing, lovely specimen, or if she was a little more fragile growing up. So we have more respect for the ultimate place she lands when we finally meet her in Star Wars Rebels, when she's in charge of putting together the Rebel Alliance, or the seeds of it. But it was an honor, and I speak fluent French, so luckily we could make the Ryloth accent strong, and I didn't know which one they were going to use. As a matter of fact, I'll tell a quick story because we have a couple minutes, but the episode with Chom Syndulla, where Hera gets upset and starts speaking in her Ryloth accent, Dave Filoni had texted me like a month prior to that and said, "Do you think Hera would ever speak in her native accent?" And that was, back in Star Wars Rebels. And I said, "Only if she's mad." So we recorded that scene and they're fighting, and then Dave got on the mic and said, "Hey, do you remember what I texted you?" I said, "Yeah," because I don't generally receive a lot of texts from the Lord Jesus Christ of Star Wars, but I was like, that moment is pretty profound, but yeah. And he said, "Why don't you do the scene that way?" So we did it with the accent, and I just flow into it. And then he left, and I had no idea if that would end up on the cutting room floor or what, but then they went and used it. So it's fun for us because we try all sorts of fun things, and you guys really give us a lot of room to play and discover together what made the most sense. So it was kind of cool to see the Ryloth accent in that moment in Star Wars Rebels, but also fun to discover just the right amount of it for Hera as a young Twi'lek on Ryloth. So, well, thank you for that wonderful tribute. I appreciate that.
100%. Yeah. The performances are so great that typically when you're in a session, you do a take and 2 alts, but we usually go with 5 alts, because then once you're in editorial, it gives you an opportunity to pick so many different versions of what you end up with, because you gave us so many different versions to play with. So it was great.
So it was fun to record and also fun to watch, as I said before. Well, I'm pretty sure that we could talk about Star Wars all day long, and I know that I'm sure you all have your favorite moments as well. But I think for today, we'll just celebrate that about the galaxy, that there's something for everyone to love, and there's so much more to come. So thank you all for joining our conversation. And may the Force be with you.
Yeah, woo!
We love you more. We love you.
Woo!
Thank you.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in.